My name is Adeline Potts. I was born and raised along the Yukon River in Alaska. I was sent off to a boarding school out in Oregon, Indian boarding school. And I was there for 6 years, and I finally graduated in 1967. Then I went off to a nursing school in California. Back in those days, the 60s, you know, the revolution and the hippie generation. I drank and hung out in Fairbanks, Anchorage, and I did work, you know. Mike was from West Des Moines, where he was raised up, and I met him in Eagle, and we were friends for 5 years. He was a neighbor to my parents in the village. And I always thought, you know, that he was a good man. He lived like us, and we could make a life together. Soon we got married and kind of eloped, and many people thought it wouldn't work out because we just up and got married. But you know, the Lord had His hands on me. I had some close calls in my life. Was in a coma for 3 days, and car accidents, and psych ward in Fairbanks because I guess they thought I was crazy. I was crazy. We made a life together, Mike and I. We went out on the trap line because that's the way I was raised. And we made our marriage work. It was not easy, but you know, I always knew there was a God all my life. I always prayed, and I knew for some reason from the background through that church in the village that I knew if I prayed, the Lord will hear my prayers. We heard that we were going to go to hell. It came out. It just came in loud and clear. Our little boy was probably 6 or 7 years old, and he was over there in the corner crying. He started crying, and we asked what he was crying about, and he said, "I don't want my daddy to go to hell." A little guy like that, you know. And thank God that he never allowed me to get into drugs or hard liquor. I just got so sick and tired of being sick. And during the time he was home taking care of the children, going to church, he was going to church, and I kind of laugh about it because, you know, I couldn't believe it. I believed that he was going to church. I went and turned myself into the detox center in Fairbanks just to dry out and try to get my life together. And then that April 14th, that'll be in 2 days, 1987, I had a conviction in the detox center. I remember that day so well. When I had that conviction, I couldn't go back. The Lord had me, you know, there is no way. He won't allow it to happen. Then there were a lot of Christians in town who kind of wrapped their arms around us, and they worked with us. Had Bible studies at our house. They took care of the children, our kids. Our son was the same age as the Hamilton boys, and so they were really close. And then I saw myself how they were living. They were happy people, you know. I'm sure they had struggles too, like anybody else. But I saw myself changing. I worked in a clinic in Eagle. I was a certified community health aide. I was trained in Fairbanks and Anchorage and different places, and I was an alternate. The Lord uses, you know, He was preparing me to go to Mongolia. At the time, I didn't know about it. I don't know why we decided to move. It wasn't, you know, we just, one day we woke up and we just decided to move to Wyoming. And we packed our things, our horses and 2 kids. We headed down to Wyoming. We were there for 5 years, and we went to a Southern Baptist church. Wow, that is convicting messages. 5 years it took to get my mind straightened out, to change. I had a new mind, a new heart. I love my life in Wyoming, and the people in the church, it was an old white church. I learned a lot from them. They taught me a lot. We packed up again, and Mike took the horses in the big truck. He drove up ahead of me, and I had my little Toyota, and I drove behind him all the way to Alaska with the 2 kids, and got up there, and we were there for 5 years. Hi, Mrs. Potts. Where's Mr. Potts? You know, it's so nice to see those grown-up men and women doing so good. Praise the Lord for that. And we went off to Mongolia. He read about Mongolia while we were in Wyoming in National Geographic. It was right after communism, Soviet Union fell. And he read about Mongolia, and I remember a little bit about him saying, hey, this is the place I want to go. When Mike wants to go somewhere he's going to go. There's no stopping him. This is really interesting, and I don't think I want to go someplace like that. Well, Lord had other plans for me. And we went off to Mongolia 2 months at a time. And we went into, you know, people say people are poor in the United States. I saw things over there where there was no health care. People were in poor health, hungry people. Lord used my training from way back. I did stitching people. There's guys that they're careless sometimes. They split their leg open on their knees. And we have burn patients. One little girl, we called her our burn baby. She had burnt arms from the shoulder all the way down to her fingers. The Lord filled my heart. I had a hard time adjusting to life there, and we fitted in. I fitted in with the Mongolians. They look like me, and some of their language is very similar to my language, and they meant different. It was different. So we got along real good, and I could feel the Lord filling my heart with love for those people. You know, I had a fear of going over there, going into the unknown. Everybody have fear. That's what holds us back when we have fear. We have to trust the Lord to get us through any situation. It was exciting to us just to be in there to give the gospel to people who have never heard of the gospel of Jesus Christ. They don't even know him enough to curse his name. So that's my story, how I got delivered. The Lord used my mother-in-law, Sue Potts. She was selfless, so loving. She accepted me and loved me unconditionally. That's the person who had a lot of influence on me, my mother-in-law, Sue Potts.